Well, everybody got quiet. Is that a signal? Say, Smith, go ahead and get started? All right, we're ready. All right, let me make it official. We'll call this meeting to order. Ms. Whitby?
Yes, sir. Ross?
Here.
White? Here. Taylor?
Here.
Robinson?
Here.
Baxter?
Here.
Vouch?
Here.
Height?
Present.
And Witcher is absent. A quorum is present, sir.
Thank you very much. I'll invite you to rise if you would like, and for the prayer and pledge. Our most dearest and precious Heavenly Father, we want to say thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to meet here tonight as a group to make decisions that are important for all of our citizens in North Little Rock. God bless our officers, our firefighters, our employees, and keep them safe. In your name we pray, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So moved.
Second.
On the motion.
On the motion to approve the minutes of the previous meeting, Ross?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Vouch?
Yes.
And Height?
Yes.
Thank you. How about communications? Anybody want to pull a communication? Seeing none, how about a motion to accept 1 through 4?
So moved.
Second.
On the motion.
Ross?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Vouch?
Yes.
And Height?
Yes.
Thank you very much. We're going to have a couple of presentations. One, we're going to call this a sitting presentation, but next week is the Municipal Clerks Week, and our city clerk, Diane Whitby, of course, is the Regional Director of city clerks all over the world. Yep, absolutely. So we are pleased that you're representing us and our state nationwide, if not worldwide. And with that, I have proclaimed May the 1st through May the 7th as Municipal Clerks Week, and I signed it, and City Clerk and Treasurer Diane Whitby signed it. So it's now official, Diane, and we're very proud of you. Let's hear it for Diane.
You and I will accept that for my staff, Linda Marshall, Caitlin Thomas, Latanya Braggs, and Shelley Ustery.
Absolutely. They do a wonderful job, and we
Thank you so much.
do appreciate it. Sandra Taylor-Smith is here, and we're going to talk a little bit about one of the projects that she's working on along with some of our professors and college students from UCA.
Thank you. I appreciate you taking the time to hear this tonight. Last fall, I was contacted by the Arkansas Historic Preservation Program. There is an upper-level history class at UCA. Professor is Dr. Story Metcon-Ron, who's here tonight, and they were interested in what I had talked about Thomas Cemetery here in North Little Rock. Thomas Cemetery has long been neglected. Many people have gone out and tried to clean it up. Our history commissioner, Crystal Clark, has for the last 9 years taken on setting stones up, researching it, and anyway, we just wanted to show you the results of them studying the cemetery this semester, and we're very pleased and proud that they chose this project.
Thank you very much.
Good evening. First, I would like to thank the mayor and the city council members for affording us this opportunity to come and speak to you about our passion, our concerns with historic Thomas Cemetery. We are all undergraduate students in the University of Central Arkansas. We are currently enrolled in the Arkansas history class, and a service learning project has introduced us to Thomas Cemetery. The cemetery started in the mid to late 1800s when J.W. Thomas donated the 2 acres of land that the cemetery now sits upon. Mr. Thomas wanted to provide families a place to bury their deceased relatives on this side of the river. This allowed the interned to be closer to their family and their loved ones and be buried in the community that they lived in. Mr. Thomas sought to offer that privilege to everyone in the community, and he offered no-cost burial plots for anyone that was buried there. The location and the cost of the burial at Thomas Cemetery made it a popular choice for the local community until the mid-1900s. At that time, a series of unfortunate circumstances led to historic Thomas Cemetery to become a distressed property that it is today. As the cemetery started to have fewer and fewer burial plots available, they had fewer and fewer funerals. With fewer and fewer funerals came fewer and fewer visitors. This allowed vandals to sneak into the cemetery and vandalize the property with less fear of getting caught. As the vandalism increased, less viewers came to watch. As less viewers were there, the vandalism then increased more. And this just started a cycle that fed into itself and ended up with a total vandalization of the property. The condition of the cemetery was so poor by 1964 that Mayor Lehman scheduled a much-needed cleanup of the property. When asked what his intentions were for the property, he stated that he intended to clean it up and make it decent again. That was over 50 years ago. We're here today to say the historic Thomas Cemetery needs the city's help again. Mr. Thomas's desire to help the impoverished families with no-cost burials, coupled with the condition of Thomas Cemetery, has sometimes led to it being incorrectly labeled a pauper cemetery, as you can see in this article here. This could not be farther from the truth. There are people from all walks of life buried in that cemetery. From pauper to prince, they each have a story to tell, and they each deserve our respect and our recognition. One of the first examples I would like to show you is young Johanna Hess. This young lady was murdered at 15 years of age. At her funeral, there were over 50 vehicles lined up in the funeral procession, and people were lined up miles walking to pay their respects to her. Adjusting for the increase in automobile ownership, there would be like a 5,000-car funeral procession today. When her 7-foot monument that you can see there in the photo was installed, the governor, all the local religious leaders, and an orchestra were arranged to celebrate her life. The next example I'd like to share with you is Miss Lovey Hammond. She and her husband ran the local dairy farm, and she was an active participant in state, local, and federal politics. The picture you see on the left is from the 1900 Democratic Convention, of which she was invited to attend. During my research, I noticed a very interesting connection between Miss Hammond and the Thomas Cemetery. It started to see notices in the 1912s to establish a committee to improve Thomas Cemetery. I mean, if you think about that, 1912, that was over 100 years ago, and the people were doing what we're here doing today to try to fix the cemetery. It was around 1920 when the committee got a new fence built. When that fence was installed, the newspaper announced that persons could come and plant flowers and shrubbery, and they can do so without being annoyed by the roving stock. That roving stock was the cattle that was on Miss Hammond's dairy farm. That farm stood on a lot adjacent to Thomas Cemetery, where Edgewood Cemetery now stands. It's those small facets about life in Arkansas that students aren't going to learn in an Arkansas history textbook. That's why it's important for us to restore this cemetery and reclaim our history. I ask now that you listen to my following speakers as they explain why historic Thomas Cemetery needs all the help it can get.
Hi, my name is Ashley Scarborough, and I'd like to thank y'all for giving us the opportunity to come and speak with y'all tonight. We did split up into groups, and each group had a different subject area that we researched. My group researched cemetery preservation. Well, one thing that was on any source that we found was that one-day cleanups aren't always going to fix anything. They're really good and positive. We did find that Mayor Smith did help in a Thomas Cemetery cleanup in the early 90s, and while those are positive and those are really good things that need to be done throughout over time, it is over time that they need to be done. There need to be long-term goals to be had. Bold Pilgrim Cemetery is in Conway County. It's really similar to Thomas in the fact that it's really small, it's nothing fancy, it's just everyday citizens that are buried there, and this community decided that this cemetery didn't need to be ugly and unkempt anymore. It needed to be taken care of and important to the community again. So they decided to do some research and all work together to do that. So they've created a website and they've done a school outreach along with other community projects to do this for the cemetery. Well, in our research, we also found that there's one key fact in doing those long-term goals. This document is called Grave Concerns, and it's a preservation manual for historic cemeteries in Arkansas. The number one step in doing any projects is to locate the owner. And that's the problem that we find with Thomas Cemetery, is that we don't have anybody claiming it. We don't have anybody that claims the deed or that says, this is my cemetery, yes, you have permission to volunteer, yes, you have permission to clean it up. Because without that written or verbal agreement, nobody can legally do anything to it. So we can't set up decoration days, we can't set up school projects like to actually go out and do anything for it without that permission. And so that's what we're really looking for, is for somebody to do that, because with that, we can be eligible for grants for Thomas Cemetery. We can register it as a historic cemetery, and it's really important for this cemetery to be honored, for all these people to be honored just like anybody else. The potential for community projects in general is something that we found to be very possible. There are decoration days, and another thing that my group saw that would be very possible is adopted grave programs. Adopted grave programs are this person whose family is either gone, like passed away, or that they no longer live in the area and they can't take care of this person's grave anymore. So you take that person's grave, you research this person, you know who this person is, you know the life they lived, and how can you not care about somebody that you know everything about? You're going to go and you're going to take care of their grave and make sure that it looks beautiful and that they get remembered the way they deserve to be remembered. The cemetery restoration that can be done is something that gets everybody involved. Young people work next to older people, businesses, and private citizens, but no matter what they do for it, they're all learning with each other and from each other, and they're all working side by side. So,
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jeremy Flint. I'd like to thank you all for allowing my classmates and I to speak with you about Thomas Cemetery today. Thomas Cemetery, as we know, has at least 30 Civil War veterans buried there. These men deserve a decent burial site considering they fought in the most bloodiest war in American history. Leaving them with an unkept grave is no way to honor their bravery for the sacrifices they made during their lifetime. Crystal has done all she can and can surely use the extra help. First step is establishing ownership. As mentioned, we know at least 30 Civil War veterans buried there and possibly more. I had the opportunity to research two of those veterans buried there, and their names were Jacob C. Adler and Thomas Helm. Adler fought on the Union side of the Civil War in the battles of Boonville, Rich Mountain, and Fort Donelson. Thomas C. Helm was a Confederate who fought in the battles of Shiloh, Perryville, and Stone River. He also fought at the Battle of Gettysburg, where he was captured on 5 July, 1863. I'd like to end by saying my classmate Justin's great-great-grandfather served in the Army during the Civil War, fighting on the Union side, and he doesn't know where he's buried at today. We just hope someone is taking proper care of his grave, like someone should be helping Crystal take proper care of the grave at Thomas Cemetery. Thank you all.
Thank you. I hope that y'all will be available for questions at a later date. We'd love to sit down with you and try to figure out exactly what direction. I remember when we looked at this 20 years ago, we had a really hard time deciding who was buried there, where they were buried. That's the reason that we couldn't continue to develop the cemetery, because we didn't know where each grave was placed. So I'd be curious to know how you found out that there was 40-something veterans that are buried there, and so on and so forth. So Sandra, if you'll, until we can decide what direction we're going to go, if you'll make sure that we can be in contact with these young people, and good deal. Thank you all so very much. We're very impressed with what you brought to us. Thank you. Okay. You know, we've got one piece of legislation tonight that's 01627 that we have quite a few people here to speak on. Without objection, why don't we go ahead and allow them to speak and call that legislation first? Anybody got a problem with that? Okay, so what we're going to do for all those that,
Mayor,
yes?
that'd be okay with me.
All right, Charlie. Write that down, Diane. It's okay with Charlie. We can do it. We're going to let those that want to come up and speak on 01627, and then we'll call that legislation. And after that, if you want to ease out, you're certainly welcome. And if you'd like to stay, we'd love to have you. First on the list is Renee Gray. Renee, is that right?
I would like to defer to the person who is Mr. Crawford, who is asking for the variance.
Well, what we normally do is just take them as they come. What's the gentleman's name that is applying for this? What's your,
Damon Crawford.
Crawford? Yes, sir. All right, Damon, go ahead and go first. You were second anyway, so.
I'd like to thank everybody for hearing my request. We request a variance on a roof pitch for 901 Cobblestone. The reasons for those variants center around energy efficiency. The lower roof pitch will allow less volume in the structure, so it's easier to heat and cool the living space underneath the structure. We also have a consideration, we're considering adding solar panels at a later date. The 212 roof pitch would allow us to be able to maintain, service those panels. We'd also be able to adjust those to get maximum efficiency. The lower roof pitch, they're small solar panels, but the lower pitch will make them virtually invisible from all four sides, so we would be the only one to know that they were there. It's not the only energy efficient plan that we have for the house. We want to maximize our footprint, the least amount of energy possible. The envelope of the lower slope roof is amongst other things. I mean, we've got low flow fixtures, tankless water heaters, I mean, LED lighting. It's a grand scheme to the budget we have to minimize our footprint.
Thank you.
Can I ask,
Sure.
Mr. Crawford, you first approached me a couple of months ago about this. And,
Yes, sir.
if you had not asked for the variance of less than a 412 pitch, could you have built this house? You could have built this house anyway, is that correct?
Not efficiently, no, sir.
Okay, but I'm just saying though, if you hadn't asked for the variance on the roof,
Yes, sir.
you could have built this
That's
house.
like exactly how it fits, yes, sir.
Okay, all right. And you answered my second question. You couldn't build this house energy efficient with something greater than a 2.25.
We could not maximize the efficiency.
Okay. Thank you.
Wait a minute, can you say that again about, what was that? The first question you asked him?
Had he not asked for the variance on this roof pitch from a 412 to a 225, he could, the house as designed fits the building codes in the city of North Little Rock, and I think it satisfies the bill of assurance over in that part of the world, over in Summerwood.
I was gonna say, so why we talking about it?
Well,
If he could have did it anyway,
pardon me?
if he could have done it anyway,
Well, that's what I'm saying is that if he had not had asked for the variance, we wouldn't be having this discussion tonight about him building this house. The issue about this house being built is the roof pitch. It's not the design of the house. And it's come to my attention that there are some people opposed to the design of the structure in that neighborhood.
so we're not discussing a variance for a roof pitch.
Yes.
Okay, I'm more confused now than I was before we started.
Well, I don't want to confuse you.
I see that.
Sean, you want
But he just said that
to help
to clear that
our
up.
alderman here?
Yeah, what he's asking for is a variance of the roof pitch, 412. I think what Mr. Hyde is saying, he's asking for a 212, or approximately a 212. If he's built at 412, it would already be built right now. So he's wanting to build 212, so that's why we're here today, is just to lower the pitch of the roof.
So he does need a variance based on what he wants to build.
What he wants to build, yes, but if he doesn't get the waiver, he could go and get it
And
in
build
tomorrow
what he wanted to be, what,
with a 412.
well, that
pitch.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sean.
Well, that's what I tried to say. Let me, our zoning ordinance, and you may remember this, we did this, how many years ago we did this, that building, that flat roof building out in Rose City? And we put in the zoning ordinance that nothing, it required no less than a 412 pitch on that rock steel building out in Rose City. And so we've done this once this year for Habitat for Humanity, got a stroke, but it was greater than a 412, not less than a 412.
Right.
Thank you.
Well, go ahead.
Since you're up here, other than the aesthetic value and the solar panels, is there any significance to our code of being 412 versus 212 as far as?
The issue Mr. Height just brought up was about 8 years ago on Boyer Street in Rose City, someone tried to take a storage container and turn it into a house, which had a completely flat roof. So we developed an ordinance that said houses have to have a roof pitch, and we picked 412 at that time, which is a typical roof pitch.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, Ms. Gray. Try to keep your comments, everybody, to 3 minutes, please.
I became aware of the variance applied for about, and would everyone who came with us and is with this, who want to speak against this or show their support, please come up. Mr. Jones, Mr. Gray. Charlie, did everyone on the council get a drawing of the picture of the house? It's
It's included in their package.
I see. Well, most houses in the Summerwood Edition have very steep roofs. Most of them are 612, 812, and 1212 pitch roofs. This causes the house to look large, look very grand, and the proposal here is for what's referred to as a lean-to roof. It's usually used for low-quality buildings such as sheds, temporary type structures. They're very cheap to build. There's, the way I understand Mr. Crawford's plan is that this roof will also be the ceiling, so that really there's no attic space in there. And right now in Summerwood, there are only 2 lots left in the whole neighborhood of about, 60 or 70 houses. So this lot just recently became available for sale as I believe Mr. Dean lived beside it and he wanted the extra privacy. So this lot was not even on the market for about 16 years. He's moved, built a house, and then wanted to sell the lot. And it's quite a beautiful lot in quite a beautiful neighborhood, and it's on 5 Mile Creek, a tremendous amount of privacy and so forth. The letter that Mr. Crawford included in his request states that the home they want to build is consistent with the aesthetic goals and quality of the neighboring houses located in Summerwood and would adhere to the overall aesthetic objectives of the neighborhood. And I have the signatures of 29 people who disagree with that statement, who think this house is totally inappropriate, that it doesn't fit in with the neighborhood. It in fact looks like a commercial building and in no way fits the Bill of Assurance, which we understand is a separate thing. However, the Bill of Assurance in Summerwood says that this covenant assures homeowners the safeguard of a reasonable degree of neighborhood conformity and quality and design in various single-family homes. It also states that the land is for the highest class of single-family residences. There are homes in our neighborhood that are in excess of $350,000. Some may be as much as $400,000. And we feel that this house is just being built on the cheap and that it doesn't conform in any way, and that this house should be built in a place where, you know, you can build any type of house you want, but not something regulated by the city where an exception has to be made to it and where it is inconsistent and incongruous with the other 70 houses in the neighborhood. This is Monica.
Please tell us your name, okay?
Paul Lincecum. I live at 8. I'm not on the list. I came in about 2 minutes late. My apologies. Is that okay?
I can't let you talk.
Really?
Let somebody else talk.
He lives next door to the lot. I really think he should be able to speak.
Counsel?
Can he take my spot then?
Yes. That'll be a good one. And what's your name, ma'am?
My name is Vivian White Jones.
Okay, Vivian. Vivian's going to let Mr. Lincecum.
38 Cobblestone Circle,
Okay, great.
right in front of where I'm trying to build a house.
Okay,
At an A-home.
okay.
I live at 823 Cobblestone Circle with my wife and daughter, the house directly west of the property in question. I'm addressing you today because after a conversation with my realtor, I believe the passage of this variance could be damaging to the value of my property and that of my surrounding neighbors. The letter you received in request of variance of roof pitch to 225/12 states two assertions as fact that are far from established fact and are very misleading. The first of which is that the proposed roof would be more energy efficient. The second is that the house design is aesthetically similar to the surrounding homes required by the Bill of Assurance for the Summerwood neighborhood. On the first point, I currently am employed as a high school teacher, but my previous career was as an energy engineer for TME, a local consulting firm. While employed there, I was responsible for the energy modeling required for the green building certification of multiple buildings, but locally, the Baldwin and Shell building in Little Rock, the Clinton School of Public Service, as well as aiding in the measurement and verification to ensure that estimated energy savings actually met the energy savings in the LEED certified Garver Engineering building right here in the North Shore Business Park. I say that to let you know that I'm well educated on the topic of energy savings, but not as a professional engineer. The statement in the variance requests that the roof pitch will accomplish greater energy efficiency based on the fact that the lower roof pitch would decrease the volume of conditioned space under the roof compared to a traditional roof pitch. This is the statement that is misleading. The assumption made here is that a house under a traditional roof pitch does not have an attic or it conditions the attic space. Most of the homes in the neighborhood do have attics above the large majority of the conditioned space. The only way then to decrease the volume of conditioned space would be to lower the ceilings in the home. On average, most of the ceilings in the neighborhood are 9 feet tall, with some areas with ceiling heights up to 12 feet and a small percentage of the square footage. The proposed plan for the home in question this evening has a roof that begins at 32 feet above grade, which would also be the ceiling height, and is sloped toward the back of the home. This would make ceiling heights in a majority of the home over 20 feet tall, which in turn would result in a much greater amount of volume in the home to a condition that would be much greater than a traditional home. Thus, the proposed design, by containing more conditioned volume, would require greater energy, not less, as the request states. Also, from an architectural standpoint, the difference in having an attic and not having an attic in central Arkansas is important. During warm summer months, the attic absorbs radiation from the sun and gets very hot. The insulation above then slows the heat transfer to the interior conditioned space, whereas without an attic, a greater percentage of the heat load from radiation is absorbed into the space and must be removed by the air conditioning system, causing greater energy consumption in the summer. The corollary to that is also true. In the winter, the heating demand is less without an attic due to the absorption of radiation, which means that this style of architecture has its merits in energy savings, but only in areas where the heating demand outweighs the cooling demand. In our climate zone, we have very long, hot summers. Our cooling demand greatly outweighs our heating demand. Therefore, this type of construction is not recommended for energy savings in our area, which is his main argument for the proposed roof pitch, that it accomplishes energy savings. It does not. The second point she touched on, it does not abide by the, as it says very factually in the proposal, that it abides by the aesthetics of the neighborhood. It does not. It may be made out of the same materials that you build a traditional architectural home out of, but to any competent observer, it would not be aesthetically similar as is stated in the proposal. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Hello, my name is Monica Bryant, and I'm on the other side of the lot. My concerns deal with the value of the homes, by it not being conformed to the rest of the homes in the neighborhood and looking so differently, that could affect sales if I wanted to sell my home and it's right beside that house. Another thing, as we all have stated, that if it's supposed to be a 412, then I don't understand why we want to change that in a neighborhood where all the homes are 8, 12, 10, 12, 12, 12. So it will definitely stand out. So I'm very concerned about that. Thank you.
Ms. Bryant,
Yes.
I think I met your son in your front yard one day. I drove around the neighborhood. I was looking for people outside. Did he give you my business card?
He may have.
With a note on it to call me?
No, he did not.
Okay, I just wondered.
He's 21. He doesn't always follow up with what he needs to.
I was driving around the neighborhood one day looking for input from people that are outside, and
I wish that I would have gotten that, because I
he
would love
was,
to have spoken with you.
Just curious. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Gerald Nelson. I live at 1203 Claycut Circle, about 12 houses down from this proposed construction. That is my son-in-law that spoke earlier on the heating and cooling as well. I personally have invested in homes over the years, and one of the things I've learned is never invest in a flat roof house. They're aesthetically unpleasing, energy inefficient, and just not a good idea. So I would propose that you don't allow this variance to be passed for all these rules and reasons of common sense that have been presented to you tonight, and perhaps maybe out on a separate 5 or 10 acre lot where this thing can exist on its own and not affect its neighbors, it might be less offensive. Thank you.
Thank you. John?
I did have one more point that I forgot. I'm sorry. When in my search, because I was learning about pitch as this came to my attention, and I looked on the internet, and a lot of the 2 1/4 by 12 are for sheds. So that was, that was something that stood out to me. I didn't see anywhere. Not saying that it's not there. I just didn't find it I did a Google search, and a lot of them that came up. The 225 by 12 is what people put on the roofs for sheds.
Thank you, ma'am. John, is John?
Baker?
Yeah, it is Baker, John Baker.
Well, I'm not one of the opposers, I'm one of the forers.
That's fine.
I live around the corner at 118 Cobblestone Circle, and as the lady said, these lots have just come onto the market. I've lived there for 8 years, and there's been 3 of them that couldn't be sold for 8 years. And luckily, we got one. And Damon was lucky enough to come by and show me the design of his house. To me, this has nothing to do with the pitch of the roof. It's all about, quote, the aesthetics of the house. Are they going to tell me that I can't put red brick on my house if I've got everything that's in the neighborhood is gray brick? And so that's what, I think we're looking at. They led talking about everybody else's roof pitch is 812, 1012. Yeah, there's a lot of wasted space in those, and they're a lot more expensive. Me being a builder for 3 years in my previous life, I know that. So you've got a newlywed couple, maybe they can't afford the house they want to build, that's $500,000, but maybe they can't afford a $350,000 or $400,000 house. You know, I've been trying to sell my house for 2 years now. I've got a 3,600 square foot house. There's not a house that I know of in the neighborhood that's $400,000 and anybody's going to give them that much for it. I've been asking $400,000 for mine. That's about the going rate, and I hadn't had anybody take it. You know, what's aesthetic to some people may not be aesthetic to the others. A lot of these people live around the corner on Clay Cut. The only way they would come the other way is if they want to just go out looking. You know, I understand it's not what I would build or they would build, but it's what these people want to build. And heaven forbid, if I want to paint my house green, that someone says, hey, you can't do that. Well, I bought the lot. Why shouldn't I be able to? And, you know, we have somebody around the corner that's got the majority of their yard is all rock. The aesthetics of my neighborhood have all grass. Nobody said anything about that. So I don't see how we could say anything about this. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that's everyone that has signed up. Mr. Hite, what's your pleasure?
Mayor, Mr. Crawford asked me earlier if he could rebut any comments that were made in a negative. And he didn't use his 3 minutes up earlier, so I mean.
Sorry. That's not how we do things, Charlie. Y'all made the rules, I didn't. It's not a debate, it's a comment.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, Mr. Crawford. We've made the rules for that reason. What's your pleasure, Alderman?
Let's run it up the flagpole. Do you, can I ask Mr. Crawford a question and
Call
if he
it
wants?
first. Call it first.
If
Let's call it. Let's call it. Let's get out of public comment, okay?
All right.
All right, go ahead and call it, Ms. Whibby.
An ordinance granting a waiver to allow variance of a minimum roof pitch requirements for certain real property located at 901 Cobblestone Circle in the city of North Little Rock. First reading.
Suspend the rules, placed on second reading.
Second.
All right, now let's have comment.
My comment is this. Sean came to me a couple of months ago and asked if I would consider sponsoring this, and after asking Sean Spencer a few questions, he indicated to me that he did not think this was going to be controversial, and so I told Sean and Mr. Crawford at that time that I'd put my name on it, and I'm not going to go back on my word as being a sponsor based on our initial conversation. All along during the last month or two, he's come to my house a time or two. We've had a couple of phone calls. The issue tonight, this legislation, is solely on the roof pitch. It's not about aesthetics in the neighborhood. The legislation has to do with a variance concerning a roof pitch. And because of that, and because of me giving him my word that I was going to sponsor it, I'll be voting yes for it.
Okay, Mr. Taylor?
Well, the roof pitch is part of the aesthetics, and contrary to popular belief, I've been in real estate for 20 years. I teach real estate, and I'm very familiar with the area, and this house will be much different than anything that's over there. I mean, much different. Will it have effect on the values of properties in that neighborhood? Yes, no. Yes, in the fact, due to the fact that it's different than anything else in the neighborhood. Will it appraise for what they're trying to build in that neighborhood? Possibly, possibly not. It's interesting, but the aesthetics of this particular structure is much different than anything that's over there, and it's interesting, very interesting. I see where the controversy comes in at, and I see where the concern comes in at, and if I lived in the neighborhood, I would have a concern myself, a big concern.
Ms. Ross?
Could I ask Mr. Crawford something? Could he come up, please?
Sure.
Can this house be built with a 4/12 pitch?
Yes, ma'am, it can.
it? Okay, that's all I need to know. Thank you.
Question? Go ahead.
Can I?
Comments?
Am I allowed to say something?
Mr. Crawford, if you modify to meet the requirements of the 412, are you going to stay with the same design? I mean, is it just add more lumber on the front and change the pitch, or what?
It would change the square footage because you would not allow, right now the house is 3,700 square feet. It's a $400,000 house. It's not a cheap house. It would change the square footage because you wouldn't be allowed to have any of the back of the house be livable space. It would change, or the house would be 45 feet tall, which wouldn't be fair to my neighbors if I had a monster height on the house. But yes, to answer your question, it is possible.
Okay. Mr. Height?
Ms. Ross asked you if this house could be built with a 412. And you said, yes, it could.
I mean, it's physically possible, yes, sir.
Let me ask you this question. Would you build it if a 412 was required?
I would consider it.
Okay.
All right, we have a motion to suspend the rules. Ms. White?
I just have one question. I'm not sure if it's appropriate for me to ask. The lady that was speaking earlier, and I apologize, yes.
Ms. Gray?
Yes, Ms. Gray. You were reading from your bill of assurance. Could I ask to have her read that section again that she read
Sure,
from?
but we have no control over that. That's a civil
No,
matter.
oh, no, I know that. I know that.
Okay.
Do you mind? Thank you.
Yes, and Mr. Matthews,
Just read.
is it James Matthews, is the one who enforces the bill of assurance, because we don't have a property owners association.
Ms. Gray, get a little bit closer to the mic. There you go.
So it says, "The purpose and intent of this covenant that in order to assure homeowners the safeguard of a reasonable degree of neighborhood conformity in various residences, single-family residences, in the quality, the design, and the location of all the residences." And the land will be used for the highest class of detached single-family residences. And this is probably the third nicest neighborhood in North Little Rock.
Okay, thank you for coming back and reading that. Now, I have one question as well for the city attorney.
The third nicest. The third nicest.
No, sorry, this is for you, Jason. With that statement being read and the fact that they don't have a property owners association to go with it, what strength does that have for the citizens in that neighborhood, the residents, to, would it have to be a civil situation?
Yeah, so one thing that I would express a different opinion about who has the right to enforce a bill of assurance. Any person who's subject to a bill of assurance has the right to enforce the bill of assurance. So if someone is bound by that rule and their neighbor is bound by the rule, then one person can enforce it against the other. And that's normally the way appearance standards are enforced within a neighborhood. They want a uniform feel to the neighborhood, then you adopt rules that will govern that uniform feel, that appearance, and then they all are bound to each other by contract that runs with the land.
So can I just suggest, if Mr. Crawford decided to build it with the pitch, the 412 pitch that's required, and the neighbors continue to be unhappy with the design of the home, what would be the next step for the residents in that area?
Their remedy would be either to negotiate, in the now, I would say right now when we know that there is a design that's being proposed that may cause friction with the neighbors, hopefully they could mediate that, they could negotiate to a point of agreement. If they couldn't negotiate to a point of agreement to where, it's acceptable to all parties, your next step would be, to go to court and to have an interpretation made of that section within the bill of assurance and to find whether this design is in fact prohibited by contract or it's not.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Taylor?
These covenants and codes and restrictions and bill of assurances, these things are put in place for reasons, you know, people, and that's why people buy in certain communities. And, wow, I just think that, when you have those items in place, buyers should do their due diligence to understand what it is they're buying, where it is they're buying, so they understand that this can be built or it can't be built. And move forward with their will, but they need to understand that those restrictions are put in place for a reason. And I don't know about it being the third nicest neighborhood in North Little Rock. I think all neighborhoods in North Little Rock are nice, especially the one I live in.
Yeah, me too.
How about, well, on the motion to suspend?
On the motion to suspend, Ross?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Vouch?
Yes.
And Height?
Yes.
An ordinance granting a waiver to allow a variance of a minimum roof pitch requirements for property located at 901 Cobblestone Circle in the city of North Little Rock, second reading.
How about a motion?
Suspend the rules, place on third reading.
Second.
On the motion?
On the motion, Ross?
Yes.
White?
No.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Vouch?
Yes.
And Height?
Yes.
Okay. An ordinance granting a waiver to allow a variance for a minimum roof pitch requirements for certain real property located at 901 Cobblestone Circle in the city of North Little Rock, third and final reading.
How about a motion?
So move. Second.
Second.
On the motion?
On the motion to adopt, Ross?
I just have one comment.
Go ahead.
This is strictly on the roof. This is not against the design or anything.
That's
I'd
correct.
love to have this house on my street, so, no.
White?
No.
Taylor?
No.
Robinson?
No.
Baxter?
No.
Vouch?
No.
And Height?
Yes.
Motion failed.
Thank you very much. Motion failed. If y'all want to ease out, you're welcome to, and if not, you're welcome to stay. While people are quietly moving out, I met today with Marion McCall that was here last council meeting, the colorful Marion McCall, and had a nice meeting with her and her family and neighbors, and she gave me a packet to give to everybody. I'm going to pass out. I told her that I would respond to each one of her issues, and I will give you all a copy of that once I, along with Sean and engineering, get it worked out. So let me pass these out real quick.
Murray's not here, so what do you do with Murray's?
Leave it on his.
Why don't you hold it and give it to him? It doesn't matter, give it to Diane.
Bruce, you just want that.
Bruce,
I won't be
sorry.
at the next council meeting.
There we go. Okay, we've done that. I think we can go into old business.
We don't have any?
All right, consent agenda. Does anybody want to pull the consent agenda? I will recognize the appointees. Seeing none, how about a motion? How about a motion to, and a second? All those in favor say aye.
Oh, well, we got,
You have one.
you're
We have one.
going to recognize them?
Yeah.
Aye.
It's been a real pain tonight, hasn't it? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carries. All right, we've got Mike Ross, is Colonel here, appointed to the Civil Service Commission. Vicki Stevens, a longtime and very impressive chairman of the Parks and Rec. Charlie Jones to Parks and Rec. Charlie, by the way, is going to serve 1 year. He told me that he really wanted to start winding down, so we'll be looking for his replacement this time next year. And Deanna Montgomery, Deanna is here. Yeah, stand up, Diana. Thank you very much for all you're getting ready to do and all you have done. Okay, new business.
New business, R 1673, Mayor Smith.
Please call it.
Resolution declaring certain buildings, houses, and other structures located at 826 West 23rd Street in the city of North Little Rock to constitute a public nuisance and condemning said structures, providing a period of time for property owner to abate said nuisance.
Move for adoption.
Second.
I'll call public hearing on 826 West 23rd. Anyone here to speak on 826 West 23rd? Seeing none, close the public hearing on the motion.
Ross?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Vouch?
Yes.
And Height?
Yes.
R-1674, Mayor Smith.
Please call it.
A resolution declaring certain buildings, houses, and other structures located at 920 Graham Street in the city of North Little Rock to constitute a public nuisance and condemning such structures, providing a period of time for property owner to abate said nuisance.
So move.
Call the public hearing on 920 Graham Street. 920 Graham Street. Anyone here to speak on that issue? Seeing none, close the public hearing on the motion.
Ross?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Vouch?
Yes.
And Height? R-1675, Mayor Smith.
Please call it.
A resolution declaring certain buildings, houses, and other structures located at 4617 Maple Street in the city of North Little Rock to constitute a public nuisance and condemning such structures, providing a period of time for property owner to abate said nuisance.
Second.
Call a public hearing on 4617 Maple Street, 4617 Maple Street. Anyone here to speak on that? Seeing none, close the public hearing on the motion.
Ross?
I have something to say.
I'm sorry?
I have something to say.
Go ahead.
This piece of property that, there was a fire, they brought out a dumpster and they started work. Well, the dumpster company comes to pick up the dumpster and they just dump everything that was in the dumpster into the front yard. I don't know the whole story for that. But I hope that we have someone ready to demolish this the day our 30 days are up, because this has been an eyesore in that neighborhood for a long time.
I agree. Mr. Wadley is listening. I'm sure he's nodding his head right now, and he's
know
in the
he is.
building, so. All right,
Ross?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter? Yes. Vouch?
Yes.
And Height?
Yes.
R-1676, Mayor Smith.
please call it.
A resolution approving and certifying amounts of liens to be filed with Pulaski County Tax Collector against certain real properties in the city of North Little Rock, Arkansas as a result of grass cutting expenses and abatement of other nuisances.
Move for adoption.
Second.
Call a public hearing. Anyone here to speak on grass cutting liens and abatement of nuisances? Seeing none, close the public hearing on the motion.
Ross?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Vouch?
Yes.
And Height?
Yes.
Ordinances 01625, Mayor Smith.
Please call it.
An ordinance amending section 1.1.4 and city parks map attachments of the North Little Rock Municipal Code, Chapter 10, Parks and Recreation, to include the addition of stone links, first reading.
Move to suspend the readings.
Second.
On the motion.
Mayor?
Yes?
Myself and Alderwoman or Alderman Robinson would like to be added to this legislation. Sponsors,
Absolutely. Without
please.
objection.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
On the motion to suspend all the readings, Ross?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Vouch?
Yes.
And Height?
Yes. Move for adoption.
Second.
Mr. Hartwick is here, and we have all the confidence in the world that he's going to make that someplace special. Terry, thank you for taking on the additional responsibilities. On the motion.
Ross?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Vouch?
Yes.
And Height?
Yes.
On the emergency, Ross?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Vouch?
Yes.
And Height?
Yes.
01626, Alderman Height and Taylor.
Call it, please.
An ordinance amending ordinance number 7697, the zoning ordinance to establish the JFK Boulevard North Sign Overlay District, first reading.
Move to suspend all readings.
Second.
On the motion.
Ross?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Vouch?
Yes.
And Height?
Yes. It's a shame.
How about a motion?
Yeah.
How about a motion first?
Second.
It's a shame, though, that Murray Witcher is not here tonight. In his absence, he's going to go down as a no vote on this.
No, he won't. He'll
No, he
go
won't.
down as an absent. All right, we have a motion and a second.
Yes.
Go ahead, Ms. Whitby.
We got some more over there.
You have a,
I'm sorry.
I just want to point out that on this, and, I'm okay with this because that's in Ward 4, and if that's what they want, I'm okay with it. But there's no variances on this, so.
This is nothing more than just adding JFK
Establishing
to
the
the
district.
already.
No, but in the legislation, it says no variances, so this is 6-foot monument sign, so I hope that we don't have coming back in the next 2 weeks wanting an 8-foot monument sign, because there's no variance in this sign. It states in here, no variances at all from this.
Okay. Ms. White.
I just wanted to make a comment. I had asked Sean how many possible signs, additional signs we could have added to this area, and including copy signs for this corridor could be 10. I just want everybody to know that.
On the motion.
on the motion to adopt, Ross?
Matt, did you want to ask him? Do you have a question to ask?
No, he told.
Oh, yes.
White?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Vouch?
Yes.
And Height?
Yes.
On the emergency, Ross?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Vouch?
Yes.
And Height?
Yes.
Concludes new business.
Okay, well, let's just start down the list. For public comment, Ms. Walton, Lisa Walton. 3 minutes, Ms. Walton.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
This is not on your agenda, but I'm here to speak against the River Road Barron Cross Overlay District. This overlay district is nothing more than a forced homeowners association, and the residents of Barron Cross, we didn't ask for this, we don't want this. Outsiders have brought this in. This is what River Rock and those people are wanting to do, and they have not asked for the input of the residents of Barron Cross. We didn't ask for a overlay district. We don't want an overlay district. We have code enforcement. If there's an issue with code enforcement or we have some issues going on, this body has the power to give code enforcement more power. I would say go that route, but I don't want this. If I want a flag in my yard, I want to put a flag in my yard. If I would like to have a privacy fence and my neighbor has a chain link fence, I want to be able to put in my privacy fence. So whenever this comes up to vote, and we will be watching for it, we just want to put you all on notice that we didn't ask for this and we don't want this. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Walton.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
myself and Councilwoman Robinson, we will keep ourselves abreast of this situation, and we heard your voices, and we'll make sure that that we will abide by the will of the people in Barron Cross. It's real simple.
Harlan Hunter.
Hello, my name is Harlan Hunter, president of Barron Cross Neighborhood Association. Reason why this came about due to the fact I caught wind of the fact that it was an overlay district going in. Not knowing, haven't spoke to my aldermen, they never said anything to me. And unfortunately, I know some of the things you guys might not even know. Me and Maurice spoke a couple of times. I think it was a few years back, matter of fact, Maurice, remember we were talking about sidewalks, river trail, even for the kids and so forth. It's been unfortunate that a lot of this haven't taken place, but when you have outside entities coming in, dictating certain things, because like I said, for example, as a president of the Neighborhood Association, I consider myself a city official just as well, and a part of the leadership council. And I still don't know what's going on. But when somebody helps to do a 17-page overlay, it causes concerns. Because, you know, if I choose to paint my house, like the gentleman said earlier, red, and my neighbors say I don't like that, well, guess what? It's something you got to deal with. Especially by the fact that there are so many tenants, landlords, and so many different landlords in our community. It's so hard to put an overlay over something such as Barron Cross. Now, we're going to speak about Barron Cross. Also, let's speak about Walk Water, two different entities. Hopefully, we can come to some kind of agreement and say Walk Water is Walk Water, Barron Cross is Barron Cross. Because we still need a sign. I don't care if we put it on 15th Street. This is Barron Cross. That's what I'm asking for, so we can definitely make a definition of Walk Water and Barron Cross. I don't want that barrier to go where you put up a 20-foot wall around Walk Water and Barron Cross is on the other side. And then once again, that puts us away from the river as well. So that's my 3 minutes.
Thanks, Harlan.
Mayor,
Mr. Plunkett?
Mayor, can I
I'm
say
sorry.
something?
Yes, ma'am.
Has there been an overlay out there? I mean,
No.
is there one
Just been
circulating?
proposed.
Oh, okay, because I didn't know.
But we have one in place right now, actually. It goes from east of the bridge to West 9th Street. Is actually an overlay as we speak. I want to say back in '06, where at that time President Roberts and a couple of us, we went against the rezoning, did some different things as well when it came down to some apartments being built. So that was like in '06. So now what we have again, we have a different kind of situation, especially by the fact that Smart Growth is investing in the Barron Cross and so forth. And like I said, if nothing else, it woke me up by so much going on. So it's kind of like we still need that voice at the table, but we don't still need a bunch of outsider dictating our livelihood. And that's a big plus that's a concern I have.
Real quick, Mayor.
Thank you.
Mayor,
Bill?
Mr.
Height?
Can I ask you a question too? What the proposed overlay district is what geographical area? All of Rockwater, all of Barron Cross, or Rockwater is part of Barron Cross, but
Well, technically it's not. And that's why I said we need some type of way to actually say, no, Walkwater is Walkwater. Because if you word it differently, you can have a riverfront Walkwater, riverfront Barron Cross, Barron Cross Lower, Barron Cross Upper, Barron Cross South, Barron Cross North. We need to come up with this defined, say, hey, this is Walkwater. Walkwater starts from River Road to 4th Street, and then you have the fields and so forth. That's Walkwater. Barron Cross starts from 4th and up, from south all the way up to north to 25th. That's the defined, even if we have to put down, that's why I said you put a sign say it's Barron Cross, because we don't have a sign.
Pike Avenue would border it on the east?
That's Holt, on the east of Pike Avenue.
Yeah, it will. It borders on the east.
Okay, all right.
Pike's divider. Bill Plunkett?
Yes, sir.
I'm Bill Plunkett. I'm with Habitat for Humanity, and the first thing I want to do is thank you guys. Y'all are great. This is the best city in the state, and we're just proud to get to work here. You make us proud every day. We're here to support the neighborhood association. We believe in the people of this neighborhood. You guys probably know this. We built over 40 houses down there. Sean said the other day, every building permit pulled there in the last, 5 years has been pulled by Habitat, save one. So we are very invested in this neighborhood, and we fully support the neighborhood association. We have an overlay there. It's all the overlay we need. You guys don't sentence us to this crazy thing. Thank you so much. This is Kelly Sims. She's our Chief Operating Officer.
Hi, Kelly.
Hi, Kelly. Andrea Newton. Andrea works down there rocking the block. I expect to see all y'all out in June rocking the block with us.
We're rocking.
Thank you, and God bless you.
All right, Kelly Sims.
I don't have anything
Thank
to
you
add,
all.
but
Thank
y'all.
you. Ms. Robinson?
And I want to say that I got several phone calls from neighbors regarding this, and I advised them that Mr. Taylor and I will really take a serious look at this, but I've gotten phone calls against this from people. I said, do you attend the neighborhood meetings? They said no, but we want to let you know that we are not for this.
I think that neighborhood group in Harlan know that we're not going to do anything that he's not involved in, so.
I thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it. I appreciate
We
that.
appreciate what you do. Bill, I don't know, that's another question. We might leave Bill out. Mr. Sims, Kelly Sims? Oh, that Kelly. Sorry, Kelly. Times two? Okay. Bobby Taylor.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. My name is Bobby Taylor. I just like not to know the way up here. But I want to start off with the code. They have done everything humanly possible to this house next door, as far as getting it cleaned up, straightened up. And that's what this paper right here is about, being cleaned up, safe. I believe I seen a picture of that come through here a few minutes ago. I'm not sure. But the one at the house has got a roof on it. This one didn't, but it don't look any better. It took me, this has been going on for about a year. They've been out there and took pictures. I've been to court with them. They show the pictures to the judge and the prosecuting attorney. He looks at them another 30 or 60 days. That's been going on now for almost a year. Mayor, there's something wrong. When I spent, and that shouldn't have anything to do with it,
but I spent almost as much on my house the last 2 years that I give for it. And I'm all-time, and I'm not healthy, but I still work every day. And I took time off and went to court to back up the code enforcement. And I'm not a bragging, but I'm proud of it. I got one of the cleanest places in Rose City. I've worked for it, I've paid for it. It belongs to me, and I'm proud of it. But to drive in and see what is continuing on is just getting worse. They're beside of me. These people here a while ago was talking about $400,000 houses. I just drive by them. They ain't got no problem. They ought to come down there and see that house there beside of me if they think they got problems. They ain't got no problems at all. It took me about 4 months to control the cockroaches and the rats. Wife didn't even want to go out in the yard to feed the birds because there'd be a dead rat or two out there, and I'd go out there and get them and do away with them. He's hauling stuff in, old mattresses and box springs, couches and chairs and stuff, and leaving them out there for a week or 10. He's not as bad as he was, but it's still going on. And I think y'all could do something or talk to somebody who reassure people's confidence in y'all, because when something like this happens and the case goes to court and there's nothing done about it, people start losing confidence in the system. The system is broke. It needs to be repaired. But code has done everything they can do out there. And this sweep that y'all made, I've talked to a lot of people out there. They're proud of it. They'd like to see it continue, because 2 weeks is not enough. But they do thank you for what you've done. And I want to thank Ms. Robinson for the lights that was put in out there several years ago. I went the other night and looked, and I didn't find one of them out. But there was probably 30% of the street light was out in Rose City. And I want to thank her for giving us them lights to start with, and the electric department for putting the bulbs and servicing them again. And I want to thank the police department for what they've done. I've seen them all over Rose City doing their work. And I'm proud of them, and I want to thank them for what they done. And for the fire department. They was all over Rose City putting in fire smoke alarms and stuff. And I talked to some of them. But, and now then, these recycle bins and garbage cans. I was under the impression that them recycle bins was going to be picked up if it wasn't used properly. This was shoved on us several years ago. Some of us didn't even want it. I didn't really care about it, but I do recycle. But I drag that thing out there of a morning on recycle day, and sometimes I have to drag it back full because it's not picked up. And I've done hassled that out with them. They said, well, they had a truck down. And they told my wife one morning that they come by there about 7 o'clock. Well, some people don't know that I got cameras on my house, and I run that back. And when I found out that truck hadn't even come down the street, I called them and talked to them. Well, they backed up on what they told me because they didn't know the driver. That's what he told them. But I hadn't had that problem no more. But this recycle bin all over Rose City right now. And today ain't even recycle day.
When's your day?
Huh?
What day is your day, recycle
Today.
day?
Today is not recycle day, and those cans are all over Rose City.
Okay, we'll go out in the morning.
Last week was recycle day. There's one on there on Haywood and Protho that's been there 6 months, full of limbs and sticks. Sitting right there at the corner of the fence. Been sitting there 6 months. I've been watching it.
Where's that?
Corner of Haywood and Protho. It's a brown house on the left-hand side.
You got
It'd
that,
be
Danny?
the northeast corner.
Okay, we'll be out there in the morning.
And there you can just drive. I go to the shop of a morning. I can look down School, down Haywood, and Protho. And I see there's one on the left-hand side of Protho between Boyer and Rogers. Been there 6 months, right there in front of the house. The lid is
Call,
open.
call my office, Bobby, when that happens.
I'll do it.
Okay.
And I'll see y'all in 2 weeks.
Thank you very much. Ms. Robinson?
You know, we've had a project in Glenview, and I think we made the request 2.5 months ago, and finally they showed up to start on the project. They were supposed to be coming back out today and did not. And you know, Mayor, I'm just wondering if somebody is prioritizing the work. You know, and when I say prioritizing the work, I just wonder where we fit in, you know, in getting, you know, this project completed. But not only that, I find out among some of the other aldermen, they're wondering too if, and which I'm glad I'm not the only one that feel this way, but they've asked, you know, if work being prioritized. So anyway, Ward 2 just want to be moved up on the list. You know, whoever does the priority, you know, even if it's chief of staff, you know, we just want to be moved up on the list and get some things done. And I just appreciate all that, you know, your various departments do, and you, Mayor, on behalf of all of the citizens of North Little Rock. Thank you.
Thank you. Ron Harris?
Ron Harris, 6309 Southwind Drive. I'm kind of excited tonight. In lieu of Alderman Fauch's announcement a few city council meetings ago, my family and I have been doing a lot of thinking, and I've been doing a lot of thinking with Alderman Fauch as well. I reside, you know, I'm a Christahillian, and so, you know, we're on that side of the ward, and Ward 3 is big. And tonight, I kind of want to put forth my 37 years of utility experience, my 20 years of as a residential builder, and currently I was kind of doing some lobbying efforts for the Arkansas Home Builders Association last year, and so as a retired employee now and a full-time builder, and I think I've got time maybe to fulfill the duties of alderman, and with that, I'd like to formally announce my candidacy for Alderman Ward 3, and so you know, I'm right there with on that end of the ward, and hopefully I can, you know, represent those citizens very well. You know, I do the BAM greeting with Willie at Walmart there, and you know, I used to live in Lee Marquis Apartments there in Levy, and if it's still Lee Marquis, I don't know what it is now, but
You're dating yourself, Ron.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's a long time ago. You know, former member of Levy Baptist Church, so and I do my shopping there at the Kroger. I used to do it at Pike, but the Kroger closed, so now I go downtown to Cap Robinson, and so I do my Pick 5 meats in 1999 at Edwards Meat Market now. So, with that, I want to announce my candidacy for Alderman Ward 3. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ron. Anybody that throws their hat in the ring, we certainly have a tremendous amount of respect for wanting you to serve our community. So thank you for your efforts. Any council members? Ms. Ross.
I just want to say, and I know he's not here, and I'm, you know, I'm proud of everybody, but Terry Hartwick, since he's taken over the Parks and Rec, he is blowing and going, and he's getting so much done. I just want to say how much I appreciate how much he's been helping us with the parks in Ward 1 and all the parks.
I knew he was going to do it, and he has done it times 2.
Fireball, yeah.
This is nice. This is nice.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to note that our former community planning director, Robert Voyles, is in the audience tonight. And
Hey,
it's
Robert.
a pleasure to see him.
Robert has turned into one of our #1 real estate consultants, so we're still working him part-time. So
Wallflower.
we appreciate that legislation you were here for tonight's not on, is it? Did we already do it? Consent agenda. Okay, good. Thank you. Ms. White.
I just want to echo a bit Bobby Taylor's comments about the recycle bins. I mean, these monoliths are always out in neighborhoods at times when they're not supposed to be. And recently I made a copy of the what the contents are of, that you can put in the recycle bins, and I've been taking it to neighborhood meetings. It's a little bit silly maybe, but the top of my recycle bin has worn off. You can't see what needs to go in there. And I know the people that are putting incorrect things in there are putting really, really incorrect things in there. They should know they wouldn't go in there. But there's just a lot of issues with these recycle bins. And
I agree, and we fight it every day.
Oh, I
That's-
know.
If y'all remember last year, that's when we reassigned a code officer to sanitation. And, you know, I mean, I don't know how many tickets he's writing every month, but whatever it is, it's 10 times more than what we were writing a year ago. But I saw a report at our last staff meeting, and that number was pretty high, like 50, 30 to 50. So, you know, we just need to know, you know, and all of you know, every one of you know, if you're not satisfied with your call into sanitation, that you can call my office, please, because we will return all calls. Ms. Ross?
One suggestion, I just keep repeating this, is on the recycle bins, if we had it painted on there that says recycle only, when an individual moves into the city that is, I mean, you know, Little Rock, they have the, you know, waste management, their pickup, they don't know that that's a recycle bin. And if it said recycle only on there somewhere, I know that's not going to solve all the problems, but it's going to help some, because you know, I've talked to some people, they honestly did not know. They're new to the area, it was sitting there, and they thought that was their trash can. So it needs to say on there, recycle only. Mine, you can't tell what it is either.
Mr. Carter?
I want to touch on real quick that I handed out a report, first quarter report from our risk management committee. I know you hadn't had a chance to read it, but if you would look that over, it'll show you what kind of transactions the committee's going through, and how we're trying to assure compliance with our risk management policies and going through the procedures to do that. We have identified the need to adjust our FY plus 5-year out hedge limits, and we'll be coming back to you asking permission to do that in the very near future. Think about any questions that might arise, how you might like the information presented differently, and we'll try to work that along the way. But this, as of right now, this is kind of the format that we'll try to follow unless you want to see something different.
Any other comments? How about a motion?
So moved. Second.
On the motion to adjourn.
Ross?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson? Yes. Baxter?
Yes.
Vouch?
Yes.
And Height?